Yes, sir. Greetings, family. This is Brother Jegna from the Grand Coalition to Protect African Lives. So I hope you're all here today to listen to what we've got to talk about. So the overall talk today is really about protecting or the state attack really on our family, on our youth. So there've been some videos recently, which there are many of them, where we see the police heavy-handedly dealing with our youth, both male and female. So what we want to talk about today really is to ideas from specialists in the youth counseling, the legal aspect of how our youth can protect their lives, and also maybe to give some details for parents as well, so parents can speak to their children and educate them on what to do and how to be safe on there. So my name is Brother Jegna. I'm also a member of the Afrocentricity International Group, and I'm a member of, or one of the members of the Grand Coalition, who is a coalition of many different groups and that. So today we thank PACM TV for allowing us to use their platform, and we really want to bring. We got about three or four speakers here. We really want to bring them forward today to speak about how our children, our youth, can protect themselves against the state violence against us. And it's not a new thing, really. They'll pretend like it's a new thing, but it's been going on many, many, many years. This is, yeah. Okay. So I've got the first speaker I'd like to bring on today. We're gonna hit it straight away. Is my brother Extra from Men in Action. So Men in Action have got a lot of experience with working with the youth here, and he's managed to come on today. He's very busy today, but he decided to come on so he can speak to everybody and give us some information about our youth and the police and what our youth can do really to protect themselves, maybe to discipline themselves, to be safe out there on the streets. Okay. So my brother Extra from Men in Action, are you there, my brother Extra? I believe you are muted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Yes. So if you like,
Apologies for the background. I hope it's not too bad.
yes. Okay. Let's go to that. If you can go to somewhere a bit quieter, that'd be ideal. But please go ahead.
I've
Yeah, when you're ready,
literally
sir.
gone so far already. I'm going to move over. But I'm in
Okay.
between a children's playground and the speakers. So if I go any closer, I'm going to be closer to the children's playground now.
No problem. Okay, sir. Okay, tell you what, brother Extra, you're live on air, sir. So please, if
hmm
you want to go ahead and give our audience some information about this subject we're talking about today. Yeah. So please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and forgive me, audience. Again, I'm at the Jamming for Justice, called Campaign for Truth and Justice at Peckham Ride Park,
No
supporting Cool
problem.
Grant down here. So, in relation to what we can do, the youth and the parents can do in terms of the injustice that we suffer at the hands of the police. This, as you said, it's not a new thing. It's definitely an ongoing thing. It's always reframed into something else. So I deal with stop and search and knowing your rights, things like that, empowering people to know their rights with the law, and then how to better make a policeman or policy officer do their job better. Because more time they're not even doing their job correctly. And we then become the victim of them not doing their job correctly because we don't know what their job is. So discipline is a key word, what you use, what we need to have. So I actually titled my workshop Positive Interaction with the Police, knowing that that's going to be kind of oxymoronic for people like us. How can we have a positive interaction with the police? You can, based on what you know and what you do. No matter what they do, they can still behave a certain way. They still can treat you a certain way and deal with you unjustly. However, what you do matters. How you behave matters. So the first thing that we need is we need parents, whether it's your child or not, to not be judgmental to a young person being stopped, male or female. We need big people to stop and observe when the police are actually dealing with our young people. Kamal? Sorry, that's a young man. Good. Yeah, so we need adults to stop and observe when our young people are being harassed by the police. We need adults to stop and observe when adults are being harassed by the police. A bit more community unity, literally. Things like that can bring us to a better place. We need people to ask questions to the police in a disciplined manner, not to get irate. Obviously, it's an irate situation. we do need to be more within our emotional expression when we are dealing with these people. We need to lessen, quote unquote, so much the attitude, but the expression of the attitude. We're allowed to be angry. We're allowed to be frustrated. Abusing somebody because of our frustration is something totally different. Those are two different things. So when we get into the space where we then abusing a police officer, they then can then easily say, you've broken the law, which makes it easier for them to continue to enact unjust behavior on us. So we have to be very disciplined. I do like the word that you started this with. We have to be very disciplined in our behavioral output, our emotional well-being, because it's our emotional well-being that's at stake when dealing with this. I don't want to be too rude on live air, but this beast, that's just the reality. You know what I'm saying? So, one, we need people to actually take the time to be more concerned, because if it was you being stopped by the police, you would appreciate anybody just stopping and observing. Literally, we need to have like a central hub for our community where these stops and observations can be actually sent towards, and we can actually take action against the police for the benefit of our community, if that community member cannot do it themselves, because it's not everybody that's got all the time to take action. And actually, where I am today, there's some people that are working on a quote unquote new type of citizen advice bureau that actually benefits our community. So the cogs are being put into place, the cogs are being formed. We just need people to actually stand up and be a part of the positive processes that's going to get us somewhere, rather than talking about it. Because we've been talking about the problems. The only talk that I kind of want to be doing now is about solutions. So again, I'm not going to be on this call for long, but if anyone wants to get my details so we can link up and put on workshops for stop and search, so I can empower the community to know what their rights are, to know what a police officer's rights are, and how to impactfully better make a police officer do their job when they decide to actually want to talk to you or harass you for any given reason. 9 times out of 10, when I've done workshops, young people, I do them with young people primarily, but young people my age, I'm 40 years old or older, 9 times out of 10, the young people always say to me that they now feel much more empowered in dealing with the police. They don't feel scared. And not only just they feel empowered, but they have actually had interactions where they have dealt with the situation in a whole nother manner, which is actually beneficial to them, literally, because they understand what questions to ask a police officer, which you can if they want to talk to you. Sometimes our behavior automatically, and I'm not saying that what the police officer does is correct, but our behavior automatically crosses the line, which enables a police officer to then say, you've done this, you're resisting arrest, or you've breached the peace. So if we can know how to best behave in ourselves when dealing with them, I'm saying at least 50% of the interactions that we see will change. And on the back end of that, if the community actually start to pay attention to young people, adults, brothers or sisters being stopped by the police, another 50% of interactions will change, because the police will understand that the community is actually taking care of their community. We are not taking care of ourselves, and that is a problem. When we're not taking care of ourselves, we are easily open to attack. When any community sees that a community is taking care of itself, any community will respect the community that's taking care of itself. Which is why, as small as it is, as busy as we are, as much as we might have to get to work on time, we might have to go and pick up the children and do so many things, we might be with the children going wherever we're going, it is important that we take a 5 minutes or a 10 minutes to actually stop and observe, pull out our phone, record the interaction. We are working on having a central hub where we can actually take on information that's given from the community. So again, my email, 360maninaction@gmail.com. That's the first port of call just for this call right now, where people can send stop and searches, and we will work on what actions we can take if that stop and search is unjust, based on how the police have dealt with our community. That's the first thing that we're offering, because we're on solutions. We can talk about the problem all the time, but if we are not doing anything, nothing will change.
Are you still there, my brother?
I'm still here. I just put myself on
Excellent.
mute in case you wanted to ask me anything.
No, okay. Could you repeat the email, please? Is it Men in Action, MEN, or Man in Action, MAN?
360
Yeah,
man,
yes,
MAN,
good.
in action, all
Yes,
one word, INACTION,
no
at
problem.
gmail.com. So the organization is
Excellent.
actually called Man in Action, because one man is a man.
Yes,
When we come together, the plural is the plural.
no
So man
problem.
and man will come together and we will make men in action. You see me?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So you do workshops. Can you give an idea what kind of workshops you do, and who will? Is it parents? Is it children? And how? Basically, they can email you to find out more information about these workshops.
Yeah, so we do a plethora of workshops. Stop and search is our main one of our main ones. We've been doing that for years because a lot of people wanted to learn the law. So we do stop and search workshops. We do communication workshops, the power of effective communication, relationship workshops, male empowerment focused workshops, female empowerment focused workshops. So I'm currently working on Woman in Action, Womb Man in Action, WOMMAN, with a couple of
No
sisters that will be the leads of that organization. And obviously, man and woman will work together. So it'll be man and woman in action. Also,
the balance
doing
and harmony. Yes,
balance and harmony, my bro.
yes. Okay. So where do you do your workshop? Do you do? Generally, have you got South London, East London? Where generally do your workshops, and can you do them anywhere?
We do our workshops wherever you need us to do them. If that is in a community center, your home, online, in the park, wherever it is. We currently do not have a base, but we are currently working on that situation. So literally, maybe within the next couple of months, we should probably have a personal base. I am based in South London. That's where I operate from.
Yes.
So that's where I am. However, I operate and will function anywhere the need is. It's as simple as that. Man in action. If you call, we attend. It's as simple as that. And if you've got a space where we can put on a workshop, we will attend. It's as simple as that. However, we can make it work, we will.
Typically, how long are your workshops for? How will they? What's the ideal number or the normal time you normally spend in your workshops?
The stop and search workshop, depending on the hours. So previously, the stop and search workshop, you've either got a short intense version, which is over a couple of hours, or you've got the long version, which would be either a whole day or a few hours over 2 or 3 days, because it's a lot of information. And we actually do role plays in the workshops, things like that. So the information can actually be buried in. Now, outside of that, every other workshop is a minimum of about an hour and a half to 2 hours, literally. We also, again, financial freedom workshops, cryptocurrency. These are the things that we have a good stance in and an understanding of. And we understand our community definitely doesn't understand financial well-being as much as we should. And there's a lot of people that could share the information and they're not willing to. Well, we are. So even things like that. So we've got Instagram, Man in Action, man underscore in underscore action CIC. So a lot of information, a lot of information we will put on our Instagram. And for Fighting Fathers, we've also got a group for fighting fathers that are fighting for contact with or custody for their children. And this is irrespective of fathers. We support families. The father's aspect is that was just the journey, personally, the experiences. So fathers became the need. However, there's mothers out there that need support. Also, we're unopposed to supporting mothers. Also, we support families. So we've got Fighting Fathers on Instagram. Also, you can reach out to us on there because we're about actually solutions, no?
Oh, that's excellent, my brother. You do so much. So many different things. Attitude for the children, for parents, for mothers. obviously being safe, stop and search, and also you're talking about like financial literacy as well. Is it talk about economics and things like that? I used to,
Yeah,
okay,
financial literacy is important to us. So
yeah.
necessary that became a part of the process, because self-sufficiency is
Mhm.
necessary for us in our community. That's one thing that we are
Yes.
lacking. We need to be a self-sufficient people.
100%. Yes. Okay. Yes, man. The teachers of Marcus Garvey, we must do for ourselves and just create for ourselves. Yeah. So, thank you very much, brother. So, I don't know. So, okay, my brother minister, race first. Have you got any questions you'd like to ask him? No one, brother minister, knows. Brother. Yes, brother extra. So, brother minister, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, my
Yes.
brothers.
Yeah, have you got anything you'd like to say to my brother Extra? I know you know him. Have you got any questions that you might want to ask him, sir, or any comments you'd like to make while he's still
No,
here?
I have no questions. Yeah, no questions, my brother. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. Brother Extra's a person I know, and when we can meet on
Yes,
certain things, we meet and discuss certain things and build in this time. So I ain't got no questions for Brother Extra.
that's all good. Oh, my brother Race First. I know you're there in the background. Race First. Have you got any comments or questions you might have for my brother Extra?
No, I think he explained it all still, and I know him personally. You might remember this voice and think, "Raw,
What was
extra,
your name? Was it
Franklin."
Franklin?
Yo, we said,
Yo, Wagwan, you good here, my brother?
is that the levels? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's the levels, G. Yeah,
Excellent.
There you are.
Like excellent. Let's
Yeah.
get this, man.
yeah,
And it's just
definitely.
as Malak said again. So even I didn't know that Malak was going to be here. I didn't know Race First was going to be here, or that Race First was my brother Franklin.
Good.
However, they know, and I know them, and this is what we do. You know what I'm saying? So when it's time to collaborate, we collaborate. We keep it moving. Other than that, and when it's time to collaborate, we collaborate. So it is blissness to be here still with these two brothers, definitely. So respect.
Okay, brilliant, brother. Yeah, thanks so much, brother. So, Extra, while you're still here, sir, let me just confirm your email. So, number one, it's 360 maninaction@gmail.com. Is that correct? Okay, it might have gone. Yeah, I believe I've got it. And also, he says on was it on Instagram, man_in_action CIC. So my brother does a lot of work with the youth, people out there who may need information, may help, guidance. They run workshops for our youth, for parents, and also for mothers as well. But the key thing is, I think we should speak to my brother Extra on 360 maninaction@gmail.com. He's got a lot of information there, but more importantly, he's doing the work, not just talking, he's doing the work. He's running workshops for our youth, yeah, male and female, to make us understand. He spoke about discipline. He spoke about how we need to, if you see some sort of interaction between the police and our youth or family, even adults, we need to stop and observe. Take out your mobile phone, ask some questions from a distance. Don't get angry, really. Stay calm, because we don't want to inflame the situation. So, but you are within your rights, within the law, to film and ask questions, get their number, the police officer's number. Express, I believe you're still there, my brother. I'm just saying that you spoke about if we see some sort of interaction between our family and the police, we should observe, maybe film, take numbers, take the police number, ask what question was happening as well. But to stay
Yes,
calm. Would that be
but
correct? Stay calm.
That
Don't
is very
inflame.
correct.
Don't inflame matters. Yeah.
Don't inflame the situation. That's very excellent, brother Jegna. Do not inflame the situation. Obviously, we are inflamed within ourselves. We feel emotional, especially if they're behaving a certain way. But we have to do our best to remain calm and not to inflame the situation, and let's ask questions. Literally, just say you're asking questions for the safety of the person who is being dealt with, however they're being dealt with. Those things also confuse the police officer. What do you mean for their safety? Literally, I'm here to protect that person's rights and their safety. So I'm just recording for their safety. It's evidence. Literally, that will also enable that police officer to actually start to think better about what they're doing in that moment.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. So is there a safe distance you're supposed to stand away from the police? It's like 6 foot, or you can observe from 6 foot away.
6 foot's too far.
Okay.
Two to three. Listen, I would say 2 feet, 3 feet. Yeah.
Okay.
Why? Any distance where you are not obstructing
Yes.
what they are doing is absolutely fine. And that's the words that you would use. I'm not obstructing you in the course of your duties. I'm fine where I am.
Mhm.
They would
Because-
then move. They would then
Okay.
move because you're not obstructing them in the course of their duties. As long as you're not obstructing them,
Okay.
you can stand right next to them. As long as you're not interfering with what they're doing. So the words that you need to understand and use, I'm not interfering with you and I'm not obstructing you. Literally. And you're good to go. You can actually be right in their face recording them as long as you understand that you're not obstructing them or interfering with them.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And the youth themselves, are they allowed to say that they don't agree with the search, and they can say that I want I like a lawyer present, things like that. What safeguards can the people being stopped say to the police as well?
The
What
young
kind
people,
of have you got some tips? Yes.
the young people, depending on age, first and foremost, bring out your phone and record the stop yourself. Depending on age, you have the right to have an appropriate adult present. Yeah. So again, they can ask for an appropriate adult to be present, to call their mother or a lawyer. It's up to them.
Mm-hmm.
They also do not have to give a name unless they're being arrested. No name, no address. Unless you're being arrested for something, you do not have to give a name or an address. Literally.
So
Ask questions.
they
Listen
should
to what
ask, are they being arrested? Should they ask, are you arresting me?
Yes, don't ask if you're being detained. Never ask if you're being detained. Only ask, are you under arrest? The
Okay.
policeman should tell you, if you're not under arrest, what he's speaking to you for. And if you're not under arrest and you're not being detained, you have the right to walk away. If he doesn't tell you that you're being detained and he says you're not under arrest, you have the right to walk away. If you ask if you're being detained, what's the likely answer he's going to give you?
Yes.
There you go. Don't ask.
Just about ask about, am I being arrested? Am I under arrest?
Or not. Let them tell you whether you're being detained or not, and let them tell you why you're being detained. That then changes the game. And record it as well. Record it. Don't ask them if you're being detained, because you're just throwing yourself to the wolves.
Okay, I appreciate that. Okay, give thanks. Give thanks. But let me ask you this. A lot of the time they stop our youth, I've noticed, they will handcuff them straight away. When that been so, what would you say about if they're being handcuffed and they're not being arrested, as far as we know?
What are you being handcuffed for? Now, this happened to my son.
Oh.
They said their excuse was young people are in the area with knives. So they were handcuffing him whilst they're searching for their safety. Cool. I managed to get from my house to the area where my son was being searched in the amount of time, whilst, because he was being a bit difficult, obviously, because he knows his stuff, and they didn't like that. So that caused them a delay and enough time for me to get there while he was still in handcuffs. And I actually spoke to the police officer on the phone. So when I got there, their only argument was he's not giving a name. I gave the name of my child when I was on the phone. So he doesn't have to give you a name. You spoke to his dad and you was on the phone long enough to understand that that was his dad, but then you tried to do some silly stuff which made me get to my son. I didn't want him to get arrested.
Right, sure.
So my son wasn't given a name. They had him in handcuffs, and they said that they had him in handcuffs for the purpose of the search. As soon as the search was done, I was there, the search was done, so I told them completely off. I told them off, take my son out of handcuffs now. If your search is over, no matter what else you want to ask him or talk to him about, he doesn't need to be in handcuffs. So that is the key component. Why have they put you in handcuffs? Why have they put you in handcuffs? The young person or the witnesses, the observers would need to understand why that person is in handcuffs. If they're in handcuffs for the purpose of a search and the police's safety whilst that search is being operated, and the search has been operated and there's no weapons been found, handcuffs come off. Straight
no need. Yeah, no need for handcuffs. Okay, give thanks, my brother.
And that's why we just add, it's important for even the young person in that situation to remain calm. Because 9 times out of 10, they're
Yeah.
going to keep them on until they're ready to either take you with them or let you go, just
Right.
because of your attitude. Do you see what I'm
Sure,
saying?
sure. Yeah, yeah. I would always, if you, yeah, they will try to escalate it if they can to blame you. So I would agree to stay calm, and once they finish their search, take the handcuffs off if they're on. And am I being arrested?
Literally, I'm not answering any more questions until the handcuffs come off. You've done your search. I don't have any weapons on me, and I
Good.
can talk to you as a free, independent being. I do not have to be restrained anymore. I'm not a threat.
Good. And as you said before, am I under arrest? And if they're not, handcuffs must come off, and they should be allowed to go.
They
Yeah.
must come off. Thank you, Jegna.
Yeah. And Keith, as you said, you've got to stay disciplined and stay calm. Don't start to shout and scream. Just ask questions and stay calm. 'Cause I know it's a stressful. When I was a youth, I used to get that sort of thing there. So it is a stressful situation, and they'll happily encourage you to escalate things. So stay calm. Yeah. Ask questions. But as you said, if people are there to watch, people should film. Adults, children, yeah, should film so we know what's happening. So we've got evidence of what happened. Yeah.
And send to the email. We will take notes and take action. If there's actions we can take, if we can contact the people directly who have been oppressed, we will support them in taking actions, because this is what needs to happen. We
So
had a
that
brother in Brixton.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a brother in Brixton that was arrested just for taking back an item to a shop. So we supported him in boycotting the shop for 3 weeks. The shop
Okay.
paid him a sum of money for the fact that they shouldn't have called the police, and they did. And they
Okay.
understood that obviously the boycott lost their money. And if we continue, they're going to continue to lose money. And because the police arrested him aggressively, his items got damaged. That's your fault. Yeah, we're going to go to the police, but that's your fault. You called them, you didn't have to. You're supposed to replace the items. So he was paid a sum of money from the shop, negotiated to agreement. He was happy with that. He took that.
Right.
And the
Okay.
next step, take action against the police. Literally. Because these are the things that we have to do. If we don't continue to take action and collective action as well, that was people coming together. It was only a few of us, but in 3 days, 3 Saturdays, 1 hour each of going to the shop, those people paid money because they
Okay.
understood that the community is standing together on this one. We're not having it. And that's what
Excellent.
we need to do when they see people being stopped by the police. Stand together. The police will say, raw, in that area, we need to be mindful of how we stop these people, because that community is actually taking notice. We don't want to cause some type of disturbance.
Mm-hmm.
And until they actually see us and take notice of us, they're not going to take notice of us. They don't care.
Sure,
So we have
sure.
to stand up.
I agree 100%, man. 'Cause back in the day, like in the 70s and 80s, we used to be organized, you know. We'd tell the police, but recently, maybe we're not as organized as we have been in the past. So, as you said, the police believe they can take advantage of us. But once they see some sort of organization, some discipline, then they think again of what they can do. So I agree with you 100%, my brother Extra. 100%. And you also said, if somebody sees something and film it, they can email you at 360 manionaction.com. My apologies, manionaction@gmail.com. They can email their film to you as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I.
Okay, and then at least you can advise them of how they can continue. Yes.
Yes, no doubt.
Okay. So one of the last thing I want to say to you now, really, you spoke about some sort of hub. You're saying they're trying to put together some sort of advice bureau or some sort of hub. Maybe you don't want to say too much. Say what you think you can say, but what kind of idea are you thinking about for this? Is it like, again, a contact where people can contact this, a number or email?
Yeah, so there is an organization that's putting together like a hub. Their actual words was like a community advice, a citizen advice bureau for us that deal with the issues that we need dealt with. All of them, again, housing, social, police, abuse, domestics, all sorts of things.
Okay.
Debts, the whole 9 yards. Anything you can go to your citizens advice bureau for, you can now come to this advice bureau for. So that's in the making. So again, we're aiming to work with them and support them however we can, because one of the avenues that we support is actions against the police, community actions.
Right.
So if if people are forwarding their information to us and are seeking support from us, we will also link with that organization and bring that forward, so we can deal with all the actions on every level, whether it's the police, whether it's local community, whatever it looks like.
Okay. That sounds really good, my brother. That sounds, yeah. organization is the key to it. You know, with organization we can do anything. Organizations run the world. So when you're organized, you can run the world. So we need to put in place our organizations, which I agree 100%. So any final comments you'd like to make, sir? You've been really excellent today, my brother Extra. You give us so much information, and some you made me feel good about what people are doing on the street as well. So any final comments, please, my brother?
Nah, King Jegna,
Yes.
I yield right there. Unless there's any questions, I feel like, yeah, I've given enough information. If
Great,
anybody
that's really
wants to
great, my
reach out
brother.
so we can collaborate on a workshop, stop and search anywhere across the nation, I'm willing to be there. So yeah, reach out, contact me.
Okay. So finally, 360maninaction@gmail.com. That's where people can contact you, yes?
Yes, my bro.
Okay, give thanks, my brother. Yeah, Extra. It's a pleasure you coming on today. I know that the viewing public, I've got a lot of information from you. So yeah, you stay strong, enjoy yourself today, and we'll speak another time. Yeah? Give thanks.
Give thanks.
Every time. Okay, so family, we heard my brother Extra there from his group Man in Action. Very positive works he's talking about. He's talking about being safe. He's talking about not escalating matters. And he's just talking about, address situations happening. You can stay a distance and you can film, you can take care, but you can see they do many different workshops. So again, 360 maninaction@gmail.com. Please make a note of that number there, or that email address there, and contact my brother there. He can give you advice. He can maybe push you in the right direction as well. And they also do workshops as well. So one love, okay. And we can see that in the messages there. 360 maninaction@gmail.com. Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Good. So our next speaker now, we're going to bring another speaker here. We've got another, because I call these people youth, because I'm an elder in comparison. But we've got another brother here, or many of you may know. He's called Respect Fire Bingi, and his organization is Forever Family. So the first time I knew about Fire Bingi, he was making some music. He was making some serious tunes. And then I heard my brother also Fire Bingi. He did a video and he's answering the newspaper, because the newspapers, they saw these brothers dressed in black being very disciplined, and the newspapers were started to want to attack them. And my Fire Bingi, I can see he does the research and he knows his history, because he researched about the Daily Express and he made a video explaining things. But you're attacking us. But when you people used to attack the Jewish people during the Second World War with the kind of fascist thing, so they're trying to call them fascists because they're dressed in black. But my brother Rasbak showed them that we ain't playing. We know about who you are. And your hypocrisy, you're attacking us when you do worse than us, using your newspaper to spread fascism and racism. Okay. So my brother Respect, I know I've seen videos that again, he belonged to a group called Forever Family. And again, similar to what my brother Extra was saying, they observe what the police are doing with our children as well. So Respect Fire Bingi. When you're ready, sir, if you'd like to come in, they do work on safety and security units within our community. And they've been doing it maybe about a year they've been going now. And I'm sure he could give a lot more information. So my brother, Respect, if you'd like to unmute yourself, and please go ahead and do a little presentation for us, my brother. Yeah, go ahead.
Peace. Give thanks. Thanks for inviting me on.
No problem. Our pleasure.
Literally got a little mentoring case to do down the road. So I just quickly come through and just highlight some of the stuff that we do. Big up Man in Action. A lot of the stuff he said about the police side and stuff, I don't really need to add too much. Stay calm, film, and if they do handcuff you and they do say that you're not under arrest, but they're saying you're detained, always ask what the reasonable grounds is. So what did they see, smell, touch, or hear that directly links you to a crime? Because if there's no reasonable grounds or reasonable suspicion, if they didn't see, smell, touch, or hear something that links you to a crime, then they can be acting out of their own prejudice, and that would make it racial profiling. And racial profiling is a political agenda, and that's on the Metropolitan Police website. That's not nothing to do with my opinion about police. That's their own rule book that they have to follow. So yeah, big up Extra because he broke it down perfectly. Staying calm and filming is two of the main points that anyone can take from engaging with police, because if you don't stay calm, they can use that against you and say you're resisting. And if you don't film, it's your word against the police officers, and your word will never go down over a police officer. So those are the two main things. Where security and safety is concerned, we've had a lot of like child abductions, pedophiles hanging around schools, taking pictures of children. So we've got security and safety and intelligence units that act on this within the community and just make sure the community is safeguarded and our children are safeguarded and protected. We also have Gang Unite TV, which calls out to brothers who was in gangs to come together and change the mindset and the environment for our next generation, because what we have is a lot of good hearts in bad environments, and the only way anything is going to change in our community is once we take responsibility and accountability and change it ourselves. So yeah, that's basically what Forever Family is about. It's about being the change that we want to see in the world. A lot of people called for patrols and called for people to be out there, you know, making the youth safer. But instead of calling for it, we invested in it and made it a visual reality for our people. And as brother said, when we done that from Clapham to Brixton, every part of the system, every racist from Britain First to Tommy Robinson to Mark Collette to BNP to Nigel Farage became very scared. They was very scared to see black men and black women in uniform, organized. It made them very scared. And I think that we just need to take that as a point now. A lot of them said, you know, these black people are only going to last a year, then they're going to fizzle out. But we're stronger than ever. We'll be going down to the Nottingham community event next week. And we went to Birmingham when young boy was killed in Birmingham. We went to Birmingham, supported the family down there, and mobilized with the family in Birmingham. So this is a national movement. It's not just London. We have people as far as Scotland. So yeah, right now it's just about mobilizing, organizing, mobilizing, centralizing. Those are the three things that we're doing.
That's excellent, my brother. So if somebody wants to get in contact with you, what is the best way to get in contact? You say they might want to join you, support you, help you. What would you advise people to do, please? Respect.
We have the fan membership that will be dropping within the next 2 weeks. People will be able to become members to Forever Family and engage in that way. We're literally setting up the last parts of it. We can't really rely on any social media because Facebook, they locked me off. YouTube, they locked me off. Instagram, they locked me off. So now I've got my own personal Patreon, which they can't lock off, which is it's a site which allows people to subscribe, but it's much more secure because whatever content you upload to there isn't going to be locked off. And we've got the Forever Family membership with the website that will be dropping in the next 2 weeks. Until then, we're just holding tight and getting this last stuff done in the background. It's a lot of work, from DBSs to accountants to websites to Google Suites. There's so many different elements. We've got legal teams, admin teams, education teams, arts teams, mentoring teams. So it's a lot to run because we're a holistic hub for the community. And obviously there's only, compared to the millions of us in the UK, there's only a few of us. So we're building up slowly. So within the next 2 weeks, we'll be dropping the fan membership. Everyone just wait for that, and then from there we should be making some more power moves within the community.
Excellent. Okay, so if they went on Patreon, what would they look for on Patreon to find out? If people want to find out a bit more information, obviously you're dropping your website, things like that soon, but if they wanted to find out something today or tomorrow, how could they kind of find more information or maybe see videos? What do you recommend?
Okay, right now I've got my own personal Patreon, Raspet Rebellion. I'll try to get the link. So yeah, that goes right across the board. So that's I don't know if I can pull it in this back chat.
Okay, but Raspet Rebellion. Okay, good. I can see the link there. So yes. we'll try and put that into the main
Yeah,
chat. Yeah. So yeah, wicked. So basically, patreon.com
so
Respect
from you,
Rebellion FF.
yeah. So from YouTube, I mean, from mentoring to Police Global to Forever Family, like all of the background work where I'm concerned, will be shared on the Patreon, and that's a way that we can talk to the community more directly. Because I think sometimes we're discussing stuff as a community, especially issues that we might have with each other, and it's like the whole world's watching. You know what I'm saying? We've got
Yes,
far
yes.
right racists watching, laughing. You know, I get some
Yes.
far right racists. They see stuff within our community, and they like to message me saying, "See, you black people will never unite." Ha ha, laughing. The youth them are going to keep on killing each other. So I think it's important that we're very strategical with how we use social media, and remember that whenever we're on social media, if it's not private platforms that we're dealing with, not only are we speaking to our people, but we're also speaking to the enemy.
Of
And
course.
that, we should remember that.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, my brilliant brother. So, my brother minister, a race first. Do you have any comments, any questions you'd like to make there? If man actually is still there, have you got any comments, please? If you want to unmute your mics and speak to, I know you must know this brother, yeah, Brother Respect Rebellion. you'd like to make there? And also Tahaka, can you put that the link? Could you put that into? Okay, excellent. I think you put it into there now to the passage. So the audience, you can see the link there. Please use that link there to find out more information about Respect Rebellion, because we hear that our youths are not doing a lot of things, or what are they doing? And the ones who've been educated, they know themselves, they know their culture, they know their history. They are doing some things. They're doing some things. Many of these people, like Race First, these are Pan-Africanists, and they're Garveyites. And they know that you have to do for self, you have to do for family. So many of our youths out there who've got the education, they are the ones who are doing things nowadays. So as I was saying to my brother earlier, that people speak about knowledge is power, but knowledge is not power unless you act on it. And they can see my brother Respect Rebellion, they are acting on the knowledge and the information they've got. And this is how we're going to empower ourselves. Race First is about doing things for ourselves and acting in our own volition. Yeah, we must have our own agency to free ourselves. So I respect my brother 100%. Race First, brother minister. Have you got any comments there? So I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying, my brother. Respect Rebellion. I know you used to do music. I know you used to do some serious music back in the day. I haven't heard any tunes for a while, but our culture will help to set us free as well. So we must have to use many different areas to influence our people. I was speaking to a brother the other day and said that many of our children are using like TikTok, for example. And I was saying to them, then we need to put messages out on TikTok and just do what we can do, because we, as you know, we've got the influence of the massive TV media is against us. We know that. Many of these people are our enemies. So we need to use every social media that we can to get our message across. However, as my brother said, these things are not controlled by us. And they've locked me off certain places as well, or shut me down, or warn me they can shut me down. So until we get our own stuff, together, then we have to do things like this. But I will say to people though, once you have your own website, it's good to have your own website, because you can broadcast live and screen live from your own website. Some people have been on, like, for example, Facebook, and they'll get locked down. I've had groups there in my book club and they lock me down. But if you've got your own website, you can stream from your own website and do Zoom, but stream from your own website and put your own programs out there live as well. Do podcasts as well. So there are many ways that we can do stuff. So my brother, Respect, any other comments you'd like to make, my brother? Brother Respect Rebellion, any other comments you'd like to make, sir?
Nah, just respect to everyone in the community doing the work. Enough love and respect to the elder Papa Kai for reaching out, and Uncle Jegna for hosting. And yeah, I'll just be here listening from now on, man. Yeah, man.
Okay, brilliant, my brother.
We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so more time I like to just listen and learn, more than talk things then.
Excellent. That's the word from my ancestors, actually. Sometimes it's good. Communication is about listening as well as talking. So my brother minister, you've unmuted yourself. Will you actually make any comments?
You asked if I had any questions. I was just going to say, yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. My apologies. Yeah, go ahead. Anything, comments or questions you'd like to say? Go ahead, please.
I was just going to say that, I was going to say, no, I don't have no questions. And I was going to say, big up, brother, Respect, man. I ain't seen you in a while. You know what I mean? Strength and powers to you, my brother.
More
Excellent,
love, brother. Strength and power. You know what it is, Garvey.
All right, see it there, see it
Every
there.
time, my
And
brother.
my brother Race first. Any comments you'd like to make? Are you still there, my brother?
Yeah, I like to say likewise. Yeah, big up, respect. Keep doing the work. Yeah, we need more soldiers like you in the field. And I've been aware of him for several years, so I ain't really got no questions. I know what he's about. I know what he does, and yeah, keep it up.
Excellent. Okay, give
Enough
thanks
love,
for that,
my
my brother.
brothers. Humbled.
Yes,
Love and respect.
true.
Love and
Yeah,
respect.
pure love, man. Pure love, man. Black love, African love. Good. Okay, so my brother minister is AK brother minister, also brother Malak. Would you like to go ahead and do a little
Yes, sir.
presentation? Give the audience some information, please, sir. Please go ahead. The floor's yours.
Okay. Well, thanks for inviting me and giving me the floor. I would just, would like to big up everybody on the panel. And just state that, the brothers basically explained, a lot of the stuff that I would have came to explain in regarding how we must behave ourselves and conduct ourselves. I would just add that we're at war. We're just not really fighting back. Do you know what I mean? We're being dominated for 400 years, really. We do the rhetoric all the time, but that is the reality of it. That we've been a footstool for other races and other nations for years now, and the only way we're really gonna really get out of this is to really be organized, is to really put our differences aside and unite and come together for the greater good. So we've done work, mentoring work in the community with young people. We even try to get on the gang intervention kind of things. But for me, I realized that I feel like I've got a burden I'm carrying, in the sense that I kind of look at things in a more racial context. Like me personally, I feel that everything that we go through, every struggle that we face, is because of our race. Do you know what I mean? I can't separate the two. I don't think it's because we're poor why we get the treatment that we get. I think we're poor because of our race. And the only way we're really going to come out is if we unite on that common principle and try to figure this out. No one knows the answer. One man anyway. It's going to be a collective thing, but there should be a code that's everybody's living by it. Do you know what I mean? That we know that, well, okay, then we've got to put our race first. It's not about hating anybody else's race. It's not about anybody saying that you're a racist, or we're not doing all of that. None of that. We don't even have to do the old school, the white man is the devil talk. We don't even have to do that. What we have to do, though, is be serious about what we're trying to do as Black people. Figure out what is it that we want. For me, it's it's the overthrow of global white supremacy. Some people will say these people are not supreme, whatever, but the reality is they are controlling the world, and they're controlling the narrative of Black people. They're controlling the education that we're getting. And if a person educates you, he now controls your moves, because you can only move to what you know. A lot of the time why we behave the way we behave is because we've got lack of information of things. The world is run a certain way, and we don't understand how this world is running. It's every nation for themselves. And when you look at the stronger people, or the so-called stronger nations, you will see that they got certain things in place. They know they're linked to their creator. They're not asking for validation from anybody neither. They got their culture, and their culture benefits them. They can make things from their culture. The community will support it. Everything we have, we don't own it. Like I used to say, when I first started getting into knowledge, one of my elders that was teaching me certain knowledge and stuff, he asked me a question, and he goes to me, name me one thing that we have as Black people that these people don't make the most money of. And I try to think about things, say, hair, music, just going through, the things that you would do as a younger person, because I was younger at the time. And I couldn't come up with no answer that was, that made sense. So we don't control our spending, we're not getting back the money from our spending. So we got bad spending habits. So then, you look deeper into it, and you realize that when your likes and your hobbies change, right? your spending change. So then it comes back down to the mind of our people. Now, when it comes down to the mind of the person now, we have to have certain information, and we've got to understand history and certain things a certain way to have the right idea of what it is that we need to do. You look at places like North Korea, for instance, right? When they got bombed, they said to themselves, you know what, yeah, I ain't getting bombed again. So I need to organize myself here into a point that this can't happen to us again. So they started to acquire nuclear weapons and all of these things. And, you know, Putin from Russia said that these people are prepared to eat grass than give up their nuclear weapons, because they understand that they need to be able to defend themselves against any other people. But we haven't got to that position yet. So that's why I said from the beginning that, you know, it's kind of like a burden now to understand or see something in the contents that I'm sharing with you guys today, because the mass of our people don't see it from a racial thing. They see it from an aspect of, I'll use an analogy of the spider and the spider web, where we start thinking, well, you know, if we get rid of these spider webs, you know, it's the system. It's this, it's the system. That we use words like it's the system, not understanding that the system is created by people. So we can say the system, but as long as people that create the system have the same ideas, the same agenda towards our people, it's going to be the same thing. You get rid of one spider web, as long as the spider's still alive, you're going to have more and more spider webs. So our focus should really be on how to at least stop this spider from creating webs, which is the oppression of our people. And the way how we do that is by getting the right knowledge and acting on it. You know, we are our people, sadly, you know, because we're not coming here to give people flattery. You know, we've passed that now. You know, we talk about, you know, the youths killing themselves on the road. We don't want to hear no flattery. We don't want nothing to make people feel good. So we've passed that now. We need some strong talk that's going to kick people up the backside and say, yeah, what, yeah, all right, then we need to do something seriously now. You know, and it has to be a collective thing. You know, when we look at the greats like the Honorable Marcus Garvey, you know, his idea, or the idea of Garveyism, wasn't for Black British people. It wasn't for the African American. It wasn't for the so-called Caribbean people or the Black people in Brazil. This philosophy or this teaching was for all Black people wherever you find yourself. And this teaching here brought the people together. You know, Marcus Garvey only organized really for like 5 years. And what he was able to accomplish in those 5 years, yeah, we still are not yet to reach that stage yet. And I'm saying to you that Marcus Garvey had that idea. And it's not about, you know, keep talking about Marcus Garvey, even though, you know, I'm a man, I highly respect Marcus Garvey, but to truly venerate somebody, right, is to do the work. So all of the Garvey people around the world that are part of the Pan-African Congress and other organizations, to really say we are these things, we must be doing the work of Garveyism. We must be continuing in the eternal spirit of Garveyism. Now, that is the solution for our people. That is the only solution for our people. There will be no other solution other than the organizing, you know, of our people under one body racially. That's why people need to get to realize that it is a racial problem. Our problem or our experience is not a personal one. They don't do it because you're Rasta or you got hair or you got a bald or whatever the case may be. You're Muslim, you're Christian. They're not doing it because of those things. They're doing it because of the race that you're in. You're attacked because of you're part of a race, a nation of people, the African people. You may call them original people. You may say the indigenous people of the land, however you want to term us. And our only defense will be organization. That will be our only defense. You know, and we sadly, you know, I say sadly because I have to keep it real. We're part of a race, yeah, that find it difficult to stick to a purpose, to maintain a principle. We find it very difficult. So a lot of the times that we start things, but we don't see it through. And like I said to you, we're at a time in our existence that we have to start to see things through now, because, you know, it's got to the point where it's life and death. It really is. My grandmother used to say, you know, one stitch in time saves 9. But we've left this for so long, right? We haven't been dealing with the real issues for so long that this is now a huge problem for us to solve. We're not going to solve it by black businesses alone. It's not going to solve this problem because we've got black millionaires right now as we speak. The American people, the black people in America, if you collect all of their income together, their spending power, they're rich as nations, countries. So we're not a poor people in that aspect.
Yeah, I understand that
So
African Americans, their money, they'll be the 16th richest nation in the world.
That's right, 100%. Ella. So it's not that we don't have the money. We don't have the drive. We don't have the purpose. We don't want to stick to our principle. You know, many of us may say liberation and these things, but liberation to me, right, is the only thing that we all should be seeking now. If we're not seeking liberation, then what are we doing? We're not really doing anything. It's nation building time. It's been nation building time for at least the last 100 years, to be honest with the community. And it's got so bad now that we don't even have a community. There is no community. This is why people will take out their phone and film things, walk past people. You know, there is no community in the UK, and there is no community globally when you check the levels. We have to start to establish these things. We have to start to establish a culture, a revolutionary culture that is going to start to solve some of our problems that we're facing. Because everything is connected. Broken families, low income, social housing, ignorance. You know, Marcus Garvey said, you know, when a fool is to be made, you know, the world looks towards the Negro. Now, the same thing is today. I see they're doing crate challenges where people are standing up on crates, breaking their neck. The world is laughing at us. We have to show people and ourselves here that we're not to be laughed at. And the way how we do this is by doing the works. And the problems that we're facing is in leadership. We don't have no true leaders. We don't. You know, we've got bad education. You know, we've got become a materialistic, individualistic person when that's not our culture. So we have a lot of, you know, we have a lot of problems that we are facing as a people, you know, and the only way for us to come out of it is for us to say that we're gonna be race first in everything that we do and pull together and really start to love our brothers and sisters like we love ourselves. Because this is not love, my people. We can lie to ourselves if we want. You know, when people may not know me, but one thing they know about me is that I'm not coming to say what you may like. You know, I'm gonna come and tell you the truth, whether you like it or not, whether you like me or not. It's not about me. It's about the teaching. We play around too much, right? We dance too much, dancing, foolery, too much, and it's costing our life now. The ignorance is killing us. So I can only encourage our people, you know, to really study. You know, Black Child Promotions, you know, is an organization that we work very close with, that sells and provides Black literature to the community for over 15 years in the community. You know, I advise people to get some books and read, because they say, if you want to hide something from a Black man, put it in a book. But when you go to these strong nations and strong people, these people are learned people. They read, they know their history, they know their culture, they know their creator. Right now, we don't even know our God, our creator. We follow everybody else's God and creators, but we don't serve our own. So we're in a terrible position, people, right? Let's be honest, but we're in a position where we can change history today. We are the masters of our destiny. So we can turn this around if we want to. You know, you look at other nations. China's done it in recent history. China right now is you can't play with China. If you look at India, India's doing it as we speak. Russia did it. You know, we can do it too. So in terms of what we do as AWF, for those that are, you know, might be thinking, well, what is it that you do? You know, we do a prison book drive, where we send books to prisoners in prison, you know, helping, you know, them, because they've got the time on their hands to really study. So we encourage them to study, to read, to, you know, not just read, but to use the information in those books to transform their lives. Because we need them to be better members of their race. You know, we keep meetings also, where we discuss racial ideas, and, you know, we honor, you know, our heroes and sheroes. We keep YouTube discussions, sometimes weekly, but maybe, you know, a few times a month. We're about to put forward to the community a 12-week class on African philosophy, which will be free, but we will be accepting donations, because we're not an organization that is here to try and get rich. We're not here for that. We want liberation, not a Bentley. So yeah, that's kind of some of the things that we do, just coming off our head. You know, we're currently working with Liberty Hall in Jamaica, Chapter 1, which is in Manchester, which was a land that was given to Marcus Garvey by a member of the organization. When they passed, it was in their will, and Marcus Garvey built a Liberty Hall on there. There's a basic school there also, so we're currently working with them. You know, there's a lot going on, but like I said to my people, there is a lot of work to be done, right? And we have to get serious about these things. We can't just talk about it, we've got to be about it. And it's not going to be no leaders. I mentioned we have no leaders, but it's not going to be no leaders no more. You yourself have to be the leader. You yourself, as Garvey said, must strike the first blow of liberty. Every one of us must play this part. That's why it's, you know, it's vital that you don't walk past your brothers and sisters in need when you see them on the street. If their police are stopping them, you know, if there's a fight going on, try to break it up. Don't put yourself in danger, but if you can stop it, try to. Don't walk past it. You know, we've gotten into a habit of walking past our brothers and sisters, and we've become a people that, you know, don't even like to interact with each other unless we're in a dance setting or certain settings. So we will have neighbors and we don't even speak to our neighbors. We don't even know their name. People that live next door to you, regardless of race even. You know, you don't even know who your neighbors are. You don't even know who you're surrounded by. You know, we need to become a thinking people. We have to analyze the version of history that they've given us. Some of these heroes that they've given us. We need to really check them and study them and see, okay, we understand why you've given us these people. You know, that's all I can say to the people, because I could go on and on, you know, because this is a serious thing, and I'm very passionate about it, because I want liberation for myself. I want liberation for my family. I want liberation for the whole entire race, and we have to get serious if we're gonna get it. And this problem that I'm telling the congregation today about is a problem that if we don't fight it, another generation is going to come and fight it. But the problem is this time is that we're moving so far away from the right principle, right? That the next generation that comes up that might take up this might not even look like us anymore. Because we no longer are practicing race first teaching. So we're all over the place. Racial mixing is at an all-time high. You know, there's a saying that says that you have some brothers that won't even mix the breed of their dog, but they will mix their seed. And I know some people are not on that race first teaching, but let me say this for those that are not on the race first teaching. If you believe in Christianity, for instance, right? They teach that Jesus came, the Son of God, to save the world. And what happened to Jesus? They kill him. Jesus couldn't even try to do what you're trying to do, or what you're trying to tell me the world should be like. Christ himself couldn't even do it. So the world that you lot are trying to paint doesn't exist, and it will never exist. We have to get with the world and how it's run, and it's run by nations. And we need to become and establish a nation for ourselves. And that will start to solve all of our problems. We will have our schools, we will have our businesses. Young people will be proud of the race that they're in. They will have jobs. They don't even have to go to the two-bob to get no job. They have jobs from uncle, auntie. There's so much jobs in the community for them. they could pick and choose. We'll have everything in place for our children. Right now, to be honest with you, I would argue with someone if they said that they are a real father. I'm a father too. I have 2 children. But a real father, meaning that if police come in here today and want to take my child from me, do I have the power to say no? I can say no and I can put up a fight. But if these people want my child, they will take my child. This is the reality. They'll drug me up, put me in the mental home, or lock me up and put me in the prison and take my youth. This is the reality that we're living in. We're living as a powerless people. And these people that we're looking forward or looking up to help, these people have the power and they're not going to give us it. So we need to really look at this thing differently. That's all I can encourage people to do, you know, and start to figure out what it is and how we can establish this teaching amongst all of our people, or as much of our people as we can, that we can actually do something. Because it's numbers, it's a numbers game. And we need the numbers. We need more black people to be thinking race first and not just thinking it, living it and acting on it. True Garveyism. You know, so I don't know how long I got, or if I've gone over time, or if I've still got more time to go on, Elder.
My brother, you can keep on going as long as you want, mother, because you're talking so much sense now. There's nothing you haven't said I will disagree with, man. And let me just say something very quickly. I mean, our history is partly at the root of what we need to go. You mentioned so many good things today. You mentioned our education. You mentioned culture. One of the things is I think the key to some of our problem is our culture, by the way, because when people attack another people, they always destroy the culture. They always attack the culture, because when you destroy someone's culture, make them laugh at their culture or forget their culture, and then you adopt somebody else's culture, the people whose culture you adopt, they are the people who rule you. So culture is the key to this, because if we had our own culture, then we'll go to our own. You spoke about the Creator. We'd go to our own God. We'd speak our languages. So culture is at the root of it. And also, there's the elder who died very recently, Ronoko Rashidi. He used to say, what we do for ourselves depends on what we think about ourselves. And what we think about ourselves depends on what we know about ourselves. And what we know about ourselves depends on what we're taught. So if we pick up the history which was given to us in schools, we see in the TV, movies, whatever, we are nobody in that history. So if we think about nothing about ourselves, you can understand, because we're just following the way we've been programmed to think. And way some of our children, unfortunately, not all of them, because most of our children don't do this, but our children who will fight each other, hurt each other, bring up knives and stuff like that, is because of the self-hatred. It's not the full story, but it's part of it. Because we've believed how people have defined us. So my organization, I'm gonna come back to you in a minute, my brother. My organization is Afrocentricity International. Now, Afrocentricity is the concept of seeing the world through your own eyes, analyzing everything in relation to our history, in relation to our values, in relation to what is good for us, what benefits us. We must see ourselves as agents in the world, not as people sitting down baking, not doing anything. But the key thing is, when you see the world through your own eye, okay, there's something someone taught me. One of my teachers was called Femi Biko, and he said, always remember the 3 eyes. And the 3 eyes are identity, intentions. My apologies. Identity, interest, and intentions. Once you know what your identity is, and we are African people, then you know what your interests are. And once you know what your interests are, it will shape your intentions. So we need to be moving to whatever strengthens us, what makes a family strong. You spoke about we are mixed with all the other races. And as you said, it's not about hating other people, it's about loving ourselves. But if a black man and a black woman doesn't love a black man and a black woman have children, the black race will disappear. People have said to me, some places up, maybe in the UK up north, when you see people walking the street, you hardly see a black man and a black woman walking the street. You always see them with other people, with other races. So these are some of the issues we have, but we must also understand that we are on attack in many different levels. But one of the meals we're on attack is mentally. There are systems in the world which make us see the worst of ourselves, not think good about ourselves. The media is one of the things, you know, Hollywood, whatever it is. So we don't think about good about ourselves. We don't believe what we can do. So these are some of the things. But education will help us to repair our minds. The key to it all is our minds. That is the key to the whole thing. If we restore our consciousness and African consciousness, that's when we will have more unity and move together. Because there's a joke, it's not a funny joke, but it's a joke that if you've got 100 black people in a room and say to the black people, okay, I've got a bit of paper there, write down your identity. And when you read what they wrote, you can have 100 different identities. One will say I'm African, one will say I'm black, one will say I'm British, one will say I'm a Caribbean, one will say I'm a Muslim, one will say I'm a Christian, one will say I'm a Manchester United, you know, we've got many different, but all we have to say is that we're African people. When we left Africa, we was African people, but then we became Jamaicans, we became British, we became Negroes. We're all African people. I think that's the key to it. And we have to love ourselves and move forward. So yeah, if you want to continue again, my brother, if you got any other comments you'd like to make, my brother, you made so many
Yeah, I would,
good
I would
things.
like to, you know, yeah, I would like to really, you know, clarify what I meant as well on that father comment that I made. Now, to be a father or to be a man, let's just say to be a man. To be a man must mean you must go out there and feed yourself, build your environment, take care of your family, all of those kind of things, right? Now, are we displaying these things as a people? Where is our environment? Where is our kingdom? As Marcus Garvey once said, where is the black man's army? And all of these things. When we are self-determined, yeah, then we are men. Then we can say I'm a man. But we're not self-determined as a race of people. We don't have nothing. Do you understand what I'm saying? On the day that we do that, yeah, nature will respect us. God will be pleased with us for those religious people. And, you know, our ancestors that went through the transatlantic slave trade, you know, will be pleased of us that we finally came together and, you know, we've reached a position where we can defend ourselves from the oppression that we're getting. Because ultimately, yeah, power brings respect. You might not have to like me, but you're going to have to respect me. Because, you know, if you pass your place, there's going to be repercussions to that. And with the culture element, yeah, not only do we need to live the culture, we have to now defend our culture. And this is the part that offends many of our brothers and sisters, because they want to talk about the culture maybe, but they don't want to defend it. So when I come and defend it now, they look at me like I'm this, I'm that. The culture has to be defended, because if it doesn't, right, it can't be lived. And it would disappear. Because right now, yeah, like for instance, I'll use an example for those that's coming from the Caribbean, yeah, Jamaica. When we was coming up, we used to go to grandma's house on a Sunday and eat Sunday dinner. Saturday, you would know what you got for dinner by the day or the week is, or more. Sunday soup, you know, so you're getting sick. You understand? Rice and peas on a Sunday. Where some Monday is Sunday dinner left over. You understand what I'm saying? These type of things is now, you know, is now gone. Enough people don't even eat rice and peas no more. Enough people not even, they'll eat pasta and all kind of things now. You know what I mean? The diet's changed, you know, but we can establish a new diet, right? And all of these things. But what I'm trying to say to you is that the culture that we got growing up ain't here no more. That's gone. Because it wasn't defended. Meaning that we didn't keep it up. Then when grandma died, maybe the house got sold, everybody gone about their business now. You see, these people are cunning people, you know. They're very intelligent in what they do. They understand how we work and how we move. That's why they never allow us to get any power, and they're not going to. We have to force it on them, because they can't stop us from being men and women, true men and true women. So it's not that we don't have positive images. We do, because you can go in history and find the Marcus Garvey, the Dessalines, the two saints, you know, the nanny. You know, we got some positive people, but we need to bring back that warrior spirit, my people. Bring back that love for your race and the defense of your race. When you see somebody getting hurt, you're outraged. No, that's my brother. Don't, you know, that's how it was. How do you think the riots and them things started in this country? You know, Elder was talking about, you know, when he was coming up. For those that don't know, back in those eras, because you know it's the same time, but back then, right? there was a love amongst, there was a brotherhood amongst us, because we was getting beat by the Teddy boys. We have to pull together. You know, when the New Cross house, listen, when the New Cross house was burnt down with all those people inside, we faced some wicked behavior and treatment in this country, but we pulled together. We need to continue to pull together, right? But this time when we pull together, it's going to stick. It has to be like glue, that they can't remove us from this no more. But the only way this can truly happen is for us to get the right information and to be, you know, moving on the right frequency. And that's what Race First will do for you. Race First will have you moving on the right principle. Want for your brother what you want for yourself. That start with that. You're not gonna, when you start to see another brother, you're not gonna think of him as the enemy, because we've been trained to do this. We've been trained and conditioned to behave and act a certain way. And if you don't know yourself, then you allow these people to tell you who you are. And who they think you are, you know, is the NIGGA or NIGGER. That's who they tell you you are. And then you start to believe it. So one of the jobs that we have to do is to teach our people that they're not this, and to counteract this propaganda that they've been putting out there. This is what we need to be doing. And we need to be doing these things very quickly too, because we don't have time. You know, I've been on this road for a long time, so maybe it's because of this journey now that I've been on for so long, I may sound disheartened, but I'm not disheartened. No, not even by a centimeter am I disheartened. I'm just keeping it real, because we need to keep it real with the situation, because then we will make the real decision and get the real outcome that we're looking for. As long as we're lying to ourselves, we're not going to get the right outcomes. You know, the attitude of these other races towards us will never change until we change our condition. This is the reality of it. If we want these other people to respect us and treat us better, we have to start to treat ourselves better and get ourselves in order and organize that if these people trouble us, there's repercussions, and they respect the repercussions. When things happen to Jewish, so-called Jewish people, there's repercussions for them. You can't even talk bad about a so-called Jewish person. They say that's anti-Semitic. You can't even talk about the alphabet community, right? Because they're organized and they'll shut your platform down. And where we need to be organized to the point that you can't have no stereotype of a black man or a black woman, or we're gonna shut you down. That's power. And we can defend it by any means with anything. Marcus Garvey said that we need to acquire the bomb if need be, and from time to time touch them up if need be.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? So we know that, you know, the only thing that the world respects, Elder, is brute force. That's the reality. That's the only power the world respects. And we need to be able to meet the world where the world is. Malcolm X said, you know, we have to start to learn the language that they're talking to us in, so that when they come to talk to us, we can talk. And they're talking to us in a language of brute force, wickedness. They ain't got no love for our people. No historian has any love for the Negro, Marcus Garvey said. No historian has ever written anything progressive about us as a people. They don't care about us. You know, we except
our own historians, yes.
Yeah, we need to have our own historians. We need to create our own everything.
Well, we've got plenty. There's so much work out there. There's so much work out there. The truth is out there. We just need to, I think it's Frederick Douglass said that power concedes nothing except to power. So we need to.
That's right.
We believe we are powerless, but we're not really. But we unorganized. If we're organized, we'll understand how much power we have.
So because of our unorganizing, we're powerless. Yes. Our power comes from our unity, like everybody else's.
Exactly.
This is how the world
if we're
works.
Organized, people come into. Well, sometimes we think we haven't got no money or we're poor, but people come into our communities and take out all kind of wealth out of our communities. They sell us our hair care goods and our food, all kind of stuff, which is dangerous in the first place. Because how can you accept? Nobody likes us. I mean, John Henrik Clarke said we've got no friends. He says when you look in the mirror,
we have no.
If you don't see a friend looking back at you, you got no friends. Our friends is ourselves. So we got to do for ourselves is kill. Raise first. race first is
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here. Hello?
Your elder, you're cutting up a little bit, you know.
You must.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, did it freeze? Okay, brilliant, man. Yes, yes. So again, if we do, it's all about organization. We need to join organizations first and foremost. Create organizations is to come together. All the
Definitely.
nations that lead the world have their culture intact, have their history intact, have their religion intact. These are the countries that rule the world. If you got your own God, you do things of your own willing. If you're using somebody else's God, chances are you'll do things of somebody else's willing, what they want you to do. So we know all the basic things, but we need to become African again. And that represents, with that in particular, African spirituality. So we reconnect with our ancestors. One thing we've lost is our connection to our ancestors. Our ancestors left us great examples, Marcus Garvey, great examples to follow. We need to follow the best of them, not the worst of them, the best of them. We got the book, we got the blueprint, or better, we got the black print is there for us. We just need to pick it up and follow it. But we need to repair our minds first. We're educated by our enemies, who defines us in, as you said, the N-word and all other things as well. So definitions kind of rule the world. And they say the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Our children, Malcolm X said, we must be stupid. Only a fool will allow the enemy to educate their children. Well, this is why we need to educate ourselves and move in the way we want to move, on a straight road. So our culture is attacked. We need to adopt our culture again. African culture is the strongest culture in the world. Why would I say that? Because African culture created science, philosophy, medicine, architecture, you name it, all came out of African culture. The concept of God came from African culture. No one didn't speak about God. So our musicians will make a music and go to any country and outsell anybody's music in everybody else's country. Our culture is the greatest culture in the world. We do not realize how great we are. But once we know ourselves, we'll understand that on a level playing field, no one can touch us. We're in a bad way, but we've been beaten down. We've been enslaved for 500 years, colonized for 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. Our minds are controlled. In Africa, for example, the former so-called Francophone nations, France takes out 500 billion from them every year. They think African nations are poor. We allow these thieves to steal from us every year. We think our communities are poor, but we come together, there's much more work we've got. So we just need to do for ourselves, as you said. It's easy. It's not, well, let's put it this way. It's simple. It's not easy, because if it's easy, we would have done it already. But it's simple. We just need to be ourselves and come together. Once we know our history, then we just move forward again. It's our lack of knowledge of self, lack of knowledge of our history, because, okay, we're given a history of other people, so we respect those people. We think, oh, well, Napoleon was great and Churchill was great, and we don't believe that we got greatness. But when you go, we had great people before there was any other races. We have to understand that for like 70,000 to 100,000 years, there was only Africans on this planet, because we hadn't left the African continent yet. All other races, we are their parents. Our mother is the mother of creation. So we need to really understand and go back to where we are. We're not Negroes. There's no such thing as a Negro. A Negro comes from the mind of a European. Once we understand that we are African people and who the hell we are, then that is the day when everybody better watch out. No one can live with us. No one can live with us. However, if we believe the hype, when people drop on us, then we believe that we can't do anything. But once we understand who we are, we can take over this planet again. But the nations of the world come together to keep their neck on the Africa's neck, whether it's the African continent and whether it's Africans in the communities where they live. And until Africa is free, black people in the world will never have respect where they are. So we need to work to make sure Africa is free. And then but Africa is wherever Africans are, by the way. But our mother continent is the key to it all. Africa is our throne, and the world is our kingdom, because we're the original people of the earth. So once we move forward with that kind of understanding of who we are, then no one can live with us. You think when you see Usain Bolt, it doesn't matter what field it is, whether it's science, every science in the world, we're at the top of every science. You realize that, don't you? Don't you see that film? Was it Hidden Figures? The African woman, she didn't need a computer to work out the calculations for these people to send their spaceships into the air.
Mm.
Nobody else can do that. Only we can do that. And it's something I like to say, but I'm not going to say it now. But we've got something other people don't have, by the way, yeah? Because when they checked our DNA, they found out about us, but they kept it quiet from us. But we've got more DNA strands than anybody else. We've got 9 DNA strands. Nobody else in the world has that. When you have 9 DNA strands, you have the potential to be a genius. That's why our little children have higher IQs than Einstein and things like that. So we do not understand. So once we know who we are and we stand up and say we're a man and we're a woman and we come together as an African man and an African woman, no one can live with us. But we need to move forward. Right. So tell you what, my brother, if you're okay, brother, I'm gonna just do a little bit of history in UK history. Okay, I'm gonna move on now. Okay. Give thanks, my brother. Race first. I'm gonna come back to you in a little while as well. Okay. So we've got 30 minutes left of this thing. So I just want to give a little bit of history because we think that these people dominating us today is something new and there's some good people. So I just want to give a little bit of history of black people in this country to give you some kind of context to show what we face in this country. Okay. So, for example, this is according to the charity called Inquest. The disproportionate use of force against black people adds to the irrefutable evidence of a structural racism embedded in the policing practice. So in January 2018, the Independent Office of Police Conduct, which used to replace the IPCC, but the outgoing lady says that the relationship between force and our ethnicity is something we need to look at closely. The police always use force on us. In 2018, United Nations experts commented that there's structural racism at the heart of British society. The human rights groups said that police data shows that there's a disproportionate use of violence on ethnic minorities, excessive force. 2021 United Nations Commissioner on Human Rights has published a report that says that UK must end impunity, because when police do anything to us, they can do what they want because nobody stands up. They all support it. So for human rights violations against black people by police officers, because the homosexual stand up says, oh, we've got the best police force in the world. But how can they brutalize and beat up children and be the best police force in the world? So, but my brother Kano did a video, by the way. Brother Kano called, I think it's called Teardrops, and he spoke about the police stopping you because you got a nice car and just saying, well, there's been crimes in this area and people drive cars like you must be doing drugs and they just want to keep it. And they're allowed to do it. So let me give some little history. 1914, okay, that's when the First World War broke out, and black people, many black people in the world, they had many jobs because obviously Europeans went to fight war, went in the Navy, so there's many jobs for black people. So black people helped the war effort by working in the factories, things like that. So black workers were welcome into the ammunition factories and the chemical factories. Black seamen was working the ships in the merchant navy and things like that. However, by the end of the war, there was back 20,000 people in Britain. This is 1914. But by 1918, when the war ended, the black boom of workers kind of fizzled out very quickly. So again, shipping companies, what they wanted to sign white foreign workers, and they just sacked all the black workers. Boom, just like that. One day you got a job, next day you haven't got a job. So the National Sailors and Firemen's Union, which is basically today it will be the Union of Seamen, they just said, okay, black sea workers, we don't want them anymore. We just want to hire black crews. So overnight, black workers just thrown onto the street. So unemployed black workers who living on credit from day to day, they're just walking and living on the beaches, starving, didn't have no jobs, didn't have no money. So they're kicked out of their lodgings because they didn't have money. So they didn't even have nowhere to stay because they couldn't pay their rent. Okay. So in 1 week alone, in 1919, about 120 black workers, in Liverpool's big sugar refineries and oil cake mills were sacked because white workers wanted their jobs back. So to make matters worse, 130 black British seamen were cheated out of their state. They could have got a pension and money from the state. However, the Ministry of Labour Employment sent a secret message to all the labour exchanges and saying, don't tell the black people that they can get money from you. Keep it quiet. We think that they should be ignorant of their rights. So these people are starving on the street, and the state said, don't give them any money. Don't tell them that they're allowed to get money freely. So the majority of these who were eligible for these out-of-work donations, they didn't know about them, and they made sure they stayed impoverished. So black men peacefully walking along in Liverpool, and this is 1919 I'm talking about, were attacked again and again. In two Scandinavians in June, stabbed the West Indian, Jack John Johnson, and because he refused to give them a cigarette. And he's severely wounded. However, and this is where we do to stand up for ourselves, his friends, 8 of his friends, went to the pub where the Scandinavians went down there and just beat the hell out of them with an iron bar and dealt with them. Even the policeman was knocked unconscious. We went down there to say, you can't do this to us. So 5 Scandinavians were taken to hospital. So in an effort to arrest those who were involved in a police raid, the police start to attack the black people's houses now. The Seamans defended themselves. This is the black seaman with pokers, with revolvers, guns, knives and razors. One policeman was shot in the mouth, another was shot in the neck, a third was slashed across his face. So black people didn't muck around. This is 1919 because they're attacking their houses. So Charles Wooten, you might have heard this, a 24-year-old ship fireman. He's a Trinidadian. Anyway, he ran from his house because they're chasing him, and he was pursued by 2 policemen and a crowd of about 200 to 300 white people screaming to kill him, for him to be killed. The police caught him at the edge of the docks, and between him and the lynch mob, Charles Wooten was thrown into the water. And then when he's in the water, they were shouting, "Let him drown!" And they started to pelt him with rocks, and he soon died. This is 1919. A free black man, they threw him into the water and started to throw him down with rocks. So 1919. So the next few days, an anti-black rage raged across Liverpool. So this is Liverpool, 1919. So 3 West Africans were stabbed in the street, and then mobs of youths, of young men, well-organized gangs, between 2,000 and 10,000 used to wander the streets looking for black people. Do you hear that? Imagine 2,000, 10,000 people walking the streets and just beat and stabbed every African they could find. So according to a confidential colonial office report, that they wanted to keep it quiet. They didn't care what was happening, but they didn't want it to leak back to like Jamaica and all the islands to know what's happening in Britain. So whenever an African was seen, he was chased and he was caught, he was beaten. This is according to the newspapers. So a black man holding a good position in Liverpool, he was stopped in his car, taken out, beaten, robbed of £175. On the evening in Toxteth, I know Toxteth, the back area, they said white people was in a wild state of excitement. So they was attacking every house occupied by black people. 1919, they used to wreck the house, loot the house, and set the house on fire. In Jackson Street, a crowd of 2,000 people broke into the lodging houses, breaking up chairs, abusing the chair legs to bludgeon the people. So black people was in terror, according to the newspapers. London was not spared from these kind of outbreaks, anti-black or anti-Chinese, even attacking the Chinese as well. So during that summer of 1919, black people in Britain were being attacked physically in their homes and in the street. They were attacked also by pen. The newspapers said that, how does black people dare to defend themselves against these lynch mobs? You're saying that they were offensive and they use the N-word. This is in the newspapers, that we were the demon when we come out with our guns and our razors. So a writer wrote to the Times and says that the reason that black men have been picking up women, and it's a thing of horror. This is said in a Times letter. However, somebody replied, he said 5 days later, he says, how can you talk about black men and black women? Hundreds of thousands of persons of mixed race are in South Africa and in the West Indies, where young girls, 13 or 14 years old, are just raped by white men to gratify their white seducers, and they're left with these mixed race children. If you think about it, remember in South Africa, they got the blacks, and they got the whites, and they got the colours. Where does the colours come from? I'll let you think about that. So this is an article. This guy called Felix, he was a Trinidadian, Felix Hercules, and he said, every ounce of strength was put into the struggle by the black man. He fought with the white man to save the white man's home. And when the war was won, the black man all over the world were asking today, what have we got? What are we going to get out of it all? The answer is, in effect, comes clear, convincing, conclusive. Get back to your kennel, you damn dog of a N-word, He said residents of black men were demolished. Black men were pounded into the streets, drowned, butchered in cold blood, and terribly maltreated and maimed, with the imperial cabinet looking on. So when all these things happening in the street, black women killed, the government did nothing. These black people helped them fight the war, but when they've been beaten and robbed and murdered, he was doing nothing to them. He says that the supineness, indifference of the government during the race riots drives home the fact that they approve of them and that they are in line with the imperial policy. So this is the government. So 1948, moving on, the so-called Windrush, yeah? Jamaicans came ashore, 492, Windrush, yeah? The British economy was short of labour. They needed labour, willing hands. So the Evening Standard actually said, welcome home, because some of them fought in the Second World War. When these black people from the Caribbean came there, the Evening Standard said, welcome home. 10 years after the Empire Windrush, there was 125,000 black people, yeah, by the end of the war. So obviously they thought that, oh, great, this is a mother country. We're going to get some good jobs in there, stuff like that. However, things were not as they thought, you know. They thought there was Englishmen. However, everything taught in school encouraged disbelief, but what they found shocked them. The British West Indies, the cost of living had doubled. There was no relief, no sort of charity or for the children. So basically, the West Indies said you're British, yeah. So the British passport said they had the right to come here and live here, but jobs were immediately found for many of these people. However, by and large, they were only offered. They couldn't get the jobs they were trained for. They could only get the jobs that white people didn't want. So there was like, you know, labourers generally, night shifts, even sweeping the streets. So the black people, even though they were skilled, many of them, machinists, tradesmen, are only getting the worst jobs. This is the so-called Windrush people. So half of Britain's white population never even met a black person, but they're still prejudiced against them. See, is white people's education. They thought black people were uncivilized, backward, inferior to Europeans, primitive, mud huts, you know, eating strange foods and stuff like that. So they saw them as illiterate and ignorant people. So 1958 in Nottingham, 2,500 West Indians were living there, yeah, and experienced 18 months of anti-black rioting. These are white people rioting. They speak about black people rioting, but they don't speak about this. Continued attacks on individual black people in Nottingham, and more frequent. This is 1948. On Saturday, 23rd of August, for 90 minutes, blacks and whites were fighting in Wells Road because white people were just attacking them. Police claimed that there was a reprisal by the black people for incidents of white people attacking them because black people used to stand up for themselves. A black miner leaving the cinema with his wife was beaten up, him and his wife, by white people, mobs, shouting, "Go back to your own country." A white woman said that colored people, black people should be banned from pubs, and also black people should be on a curfew. So white people are committing crime against us, but it's saying that black people should curfew. In Nottingham, MPs sort of said that we need to stop black people from coming to the country. So on the evening of the 30th of August, white people were in the street. White people were in the street shouting, "Let's get the blacks!" But black people stayed off the streets, and a crowd surrounded cars with black people shouting, "Let's lynch them." Edward Scobie, one of the historians, he said that Nottingham's black community felt that the police were biased against them and were not doing nothing to them. Black people were attacked. Black people were frightened to leave their houses. So 1950s, the riots we know about, yeah? So particularly Notting Hill. In Camden, black people had to defend themselves against white attackers whose weapons included petrol bombs. So this is when they started to petrol bomb us, yeah? Simulated fascist propaganda, because there's fascist groups all around that time, wasn't stopped. And they just attacked black people. One evening, a rage of teddy boys cruised the streets looking for black people to fight. I was speaking to an elder once. I was in a barber's many years ago, and the elder who used to live in Notting Hill, and he said, you know, that in them times, winter it was freezing, so they had paraffin heaters. So I had to go and buy paraffin to keep the house warm. So he said, when they wanted paraffin, he said 2 or 3 of them had to go to buy paraffin. And I said, why? He says, because if one went, you might not come back. He says the teddy boys and the police will hold you and beat you. Either the police will hold you and teddy boys will beat you, or the teddy boys will hold you and the police will beat you. He said, 1950s, that's what it's like. So these people must be psychopathic. They invite us here to help them, and then they just terrorize and brutalize us when we come here. So police took no notice of these attacks, yeah? 5 white views attacked and wrecked a black-owned calf in Shepherd's Bush. The guy said it's like an earthquake, and all the thing they got was just a minor things. Black and white working class families lived in squalid conditions, but they continued to attack black people. A white crowd smashed the windows of a house occupied by black people in Shepherd's Bush. Police did nothing. Days later, a black man was savagely attacked in North Kensington pub by white men who battered him with a metal dustbin lid and stabbed him with glass bottles, basically. Over a wide area, white gangs of white teenagers armed with iron bars and sticks and knives went out, as they called it, N hunting. I think you know what the N are. So this is the hunters in the street. 1950s, these are Windrush free people. So in one evening, the pursuit of black victims, 6 West Indians were badly injured just in one evening. 9 white youths were sentenced to 4 years imprisonment. So this is the first time we actually heard of anybody being convicted for it. But the Teddy boys and the police have beat us, or beat our elders, yeah? Crowds of hundreds shouted at black people. A young African student were beaten down in the train station, chased by a hospital, lynch mob behind him. A Jamaican was shot in the leg. Petrol bombs were thrown into black people's homes, including the homes of pregnant black women. Manchester Guardian reported that some of the West Indians who always come here with such high, or came here with such high hopes, are now downcast, and they're talking seriously about accepting the humiliation of going back home again. A West Indian was quoted as saying, "A black man's treated worse than a dog here. They watch you wherever you go, and you didn't go out in the evening. It's a prison in this country." So this is what our elders were living at in the 1950s. So black militants organized. So later on, black militants, yeah, to defend their homes and the clubs, yeah. So on the Grove, so the Decayne Royal Borough, Kensington, which they call a ghetto, said that the best form of defense or defense is attack. So the black people who got there, militant black people, would go to their pubs with the fascists and go and just beat them down with metal bars and just deal with them. So some lob petrol bombs into the back of the pub. This is black people doing this. Lob petrol bombs in the back of each building. And when the white people came out, they just running around that black people just to beat them down in the street. So this is when we start to organize to be more militant in these times here. So after an open-air fascist meeting, 100 crowds of white youths surged through the area. One of the first riots in the 50s was white people rioting against black people. You must notice, whenever we did our uprising, what I like to call the Tottenham Brixton riots, is because Cherry Gross was killed and other black people were killed, black women that go into our houses. But white people rioted because of racism, because they didn't want black people there. So gangs arrived in cars from all parts of London, and they said they were going to scare the hell out of black people. That's what they came for. This is the 1950s. The Guardian talks about cars. These guys were respectably dressed, and they tried to run black people down in the streets. Even when I was a youngster, I remember crossing the road and his car swerved to run me down when I was a youngster in this country myself. So police were hostile against black people, and they offered no opposition to what was happening to them. And the government did nothing as well. You think the government was sending troops or something? Police just let them continue these attacks to continue. In May 1959, a West Indian carpenter called Kelso Cochrane, he was a Antiguan, and he was stabbed to death in North Kensington Street, and the murders were never found. This is how the Notting Hill Carnival started, when black people came together because of these attacks on black people to create the Notting Hill Carnival as unity of all the black, Caribbean, and even African people come together to play their music. And this is how Notting Hill Carnival started. Outside of London, identical pattern emerged. So in Middlesbrough, for example, thousands of whites chanting, "Let's get the WOG," smashed homes of black people's homes. This is in Middlesbrough. Between 1958 and 1968, black settlers in Britain watched the racist tail wag the dog. That's when Parliament started says, "Oh, we need to stop immigration." They didn't say stop the races. They said we've got too many black people here. So they kind of legitimized their actions, said that there's nothing wrong with them being racist in the street. And they changed the law of the land, 62 Commonwealth Act, and all these acts were basically stopping black people coming to the country. They wasn't stopping a lot of Australians and New Zealanders. They changed the law to basically make racist laws, stop black people coming into the country. They asked us to come to help them to build after the Second World War, and then they changed the laws to stop us from coming here. And even though we had passports, were made as British citizens, they changed the law to say that you were immigrants. So 1970s, a special branch was created for political things, but obviously they was looking for black militants. So a demonstration took place against repeated. You might know about the Mangrove Restaurant in Notting Hill, yeah, when they kept attacking Mangrove Restaurant, yeah. The Mangrove Restaurant, which people like, big movie stars used to go there in Notting Hill Gate, made a lot of money, and the owner was against drugs, but they kept on raiding the restaurant to try and close it down, trying to say that, oh, they're selling drugs there. But they raided it 6 times, or 6 times in 6 months, but never were any drugs or anything found there. Anyway, at the end of the 60s, Frank Critchlow was the owner. The restaurant became the beating heart of the West Indian community, but they kept on raving it. One of the reasons why they kept on attacking this restaurant is because Frank Critchlow wouldn't allow them to sell their drugs in there. The police would arrest somebody, take their drugs and keep their drugs, and give it to drug dealers to sell it to make their money. And Frank Critchlow did not allow the policeman's drugs to be sold in there. The police called it recycling. And that's why they kept attacking Francis Crisco's restaurant, because they wouldn't sell his drugs in there. Even though they tried to say he's criminal, all the raids they've read his house or his restaurant, they never found any drugs there. So basically, there was a march, and they, to protest about all the raids on the CAF, and this is when obviously the Mangrove Nine went to court, went to the Old Bailey, and they beat the best barristers, yeah. And I'm sure you know about Darcus Howe and Olive Morris and all these kind of people, Black Power Party in Britain. They took the black people to court, and the black people won the case because they tried to say that they rioted, but they didn't riot. But they beat the best barristers in the law, and that was very embarrassing for them. And this is the 1970s, late 1970s. So, but they kept on looking at any black militants at that time. This is why some people stopped black militants being black militants, because the police were on top of you now. So the Oval Four, members of the South London black organisation known as the Farsimbas, were pounced on by plainclothes policemen at Oval Station. They were beaten up inside the police station and forced to sign confessions, and they were found guilty of theft and assault on police. Many years later, they was found not guilty, but they're just locking up anybody who said there was like radical, militant, fight for their rights. Yeah, they used to lock you up in the prison. Yeah, the Black Panther parties was warned in October of a campaign to pick off the black militants by the police and to intimidate, harass, and imprison black people prepared to go out in the streets and demonstrate. The police have almost entirely failed to find informers against black people, but they kept on having black youth in the streets. So after an entire decade of police harassment, I aimed at suppressing any sort of black resistance. Yeah, even black and white youth came together in 1981. So remember the riots that happened in the 1980s. Yeah. So we move on very quickly. So you spoke about the New Cross fire in Deptford. Yeah, house in Deptford. Yeah, they threw petrol bombs through the window. 16-year-old birthday party. They killed 13 dead, actually 14, because one died very soon afterwards, and nothing was said. So they organized a march. Yeah, the police discounted it. The police said even though there was loads of black properties, black businesses, black youth clubs petrol bombed in the area, the police said no, must be one of the party goers did it. So they want to blame the black people for killing themselves, and that's what we really wanted. Yeah. So there was a march. What happened? Yeah. And on Monday, the 2nd of March, 1981, 20,000 black people from all up and down the country marched through London, from Deptford right up to the Parliament, right through, yeah, marched 10 miles for 10 hours. So it just shows you when we want to come together, we can come together, which is much more radical than we are now. They demanded justice for the black people, to end the racist murders against black people. And a month later, because of that march, let me say about the march as well. People said on the march said when they marched through Fleet Street, which obviously used to be the centre of the newspapers, the white journalists were spitting them out the window and calling them niggers and stuff like that, and saying go home. This was the media. So the media, the government, and the royal family said nothing about these black people, black families, 60-year-old being burnt in their house. They didn't say anything about it, and the police did nothing. Even today, we don't know. They didn't find out who did it, the racism, and they tried to say, "Oh, our people are the best in the world." So it was terrible what they did, and even today, but the march. But because of that march, that's when they went into Brixton, and I think it was in 6 days, they stopped 943 people in Brixton. This is 1981, and they arrested 118 of them. They beat up a man outside his local school, and the parent who tried to remonstrate with them was hit on the head with a truncheon and then arrested for obstruction. And the 10th of April, a crowd rescued a black youth from the police car. So I remember when I was a youth, sometime they'd go to the police station in Stoke Newington, and people arrested illegally, they'd go in there and pull them out the station. And here, yeah, they pulled them out from the police car. But the head of the CIE said it was a resounding success of them arresting 118 people. They did 900 searches, stop and searches in Brixton. Anyway, so that's what the police were. So it just shows you that what is happening with our youth today in the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, and even starting from 1919, the state have always been against us. It's not nothing new. When they say, well, because they did this crime and they did that crime, but it doesn't matter if we've done a crime or have not done a crime, they always attack the black community. And as my brother said, 400 years, if you speak to some of our ancestors, he said from the first time these Eurasians stepped in the African continent, there's been a war against us. And it doesn't matter what we do. So what we need to do is forget about what they think about us. Again, as we said, I think we need to unite and just do what we need to do ourselves. But it just showed you from 1919 up until now, we get the same treatment, heavy-handed policing. When we're the victim of crime, Stephen Lawrence, what happened? 20 years for him to be locked up, even though they knew who did it on the night of the murder. But it took 20 years. Do you remember that soldier? What soldier was stabbed in the street that time? The people who did it, they nicked down every door. They was arrested within minutes, and they knocked off the door, kicked down the door for everybody who knew that family, and they was arrested and then locked into prison. But it took Stephen Lawrence family 20 years. Before Stephen Lawrence, there was Roland Adams. He was chopped down in the street, and there was a gang of them, but the judge only locked one of them up. Remember, if it was a black gang, you know, the whole gang would be going down to prison. But they took one guy, sent him to prison, and let all the other guys off. So Roland Adams was stabbed in a similar area, that kind of Thamesmead area, even before Stephen Lawrence went on there. So it's nothing new. The amount of people being killed in this country by these people is pretty terrible. So my brother Ray Spurs, would you like to make some comments, sir? Because we're coming to the end now. We've got about 5 minutes really left. So my brother Ray Spurs, if you're still there, and if you want to come off mute, if you'll come off mute, if you make any comments, please.
No, basically everything that's said has been said, and I'd only be regurgitating what's already been said. But what I would like just to say is that, yeah, we need to understand white supremacy, what it is, how it works. When we get up in the morning, we should be thinking of strategies, how to defeat it. When we say our prayers, we should be thinking of strategies, how to defeat it. When we go to bed at night, we should be thinking of strategies, how to defeat it. We need to live this, eat this, sleep this, and just until it's done, then yeah, we can celebrate, we can party. And I'll just end it there like that, my brother.
Give thanks, man. Give thanks. We need to eat, drink, sleep, black race first, yes?
Yes, definitely.
I agree that until we come together, people, we don't know how powerful we are. I said before, we are the most powerful people on the planet. And when we come together, there is nothing we cannot do. So my brother Minister, would you like to make some closing comments as well, my brother, sir? Yeah, we've got just a few minutes left, yeah?
Yeah, I would like to say thank you for that information that you gave just there, you know, because a lot of the time people think that this thing is far away. You know, and the way how you went through it, I know it was very quickly, but I mean, a lot of people would have got, you know, can go and research what you spoke about just there, you know. And I think that as black people in the UK, we need to know our history here. One of the things that they've done to us is remove us from our culture, our history, who we are, everything. We've been removed, and we'll, you know, soon we're going to be so far removed from it. So it's about, you know, trying to get back to what we know we are. You know, live what we say we are, you know, and be the best that we can be, man, because we're going to have to be greater than we've ever been before to come out of this. And I believe we can do it. I believe we can do it.
We can do it, and we are going to do it. We are going to do it, yeah. Because one thing about Afrocentricity, the thought is a victorious thought. We don't come and thought, boy, I'm oppressed. No, we don't. If people start to say, boy, we can't do it, just run them from you, move away from them. We need people with a new vocabulary, a vocabulary of victory. That's it. We want, when I'm going to do it, we're going to do it. We're going to do it tomorrow. We're going to do it Friday. That's the vocabulary we need. We need to change the way we think and the way we speak as well. Our ancestors, I love my history. And in the British Museum, there's a big stone there called the Shabaka stone, which comes from ancient Egypt when the Kushites came into running. And it's got there on there. It's got there about how the creator created the universe, and what he did. He thought about what he's going to do, and then he spoke and he created the world. So to me, that's philosophy for we need to think, we need to speak and create. That's all we have to do. That's why our ancestors wrote that stuff in stone, because our ancestors probably knew we'd forget our history, and that's why he chiseled it in stone for us. And what they said was, Ptah, he says that he thought in his mind what he's going to do, and then he spoke it, and the world was created in front of him. So that's what we need to do. When we think black, think about Africa, think about our family, and then we think about how can we create. They see to speak, our ancestors speak about, we create for eternity. So what can we build now? And as you know, Marcus Garvey said, we're going to build a new civilization which will astonish the world. And we can do it anytime we want to do it if we are ready to do it. We are the oldest people on the planet, and therefore have the longest history of anybody on the planet. And our ancestors, there is nothing they have not done. There's nothing they have not done. So we need to follow in the steps of our ancestors, and we need to pour libation for them. Learn how to pour libation. Go onto YouTube if you don't know. pour libation first of all for your own family, for your grandmother, your grandfather, and then for the Malcolm X, and then for the nanny of the Maroons, and Queen Anazinga, and Yaa Asantewaa. Malcolm X, we need to pour libation for our ancestors, and they'll come to support us. That is our African culture, which we've forgotten. When you hear people saying, well, I like to thank God, but you see that we've been westernized in our thoughts. We don't speak about our ancestors. It is African to speak about our ancestors. That is our connection. Because in the African view, our ancestors don't die. They just go to another realm, another plane, and they'll come back as children. So to the African, the world is circular. Everything is circular. It goes around. And that's why we're low. But when it comes around again, we'll be on top again. Remember, we are the original people of this planet, and we need to be strong. So nothing we can't do. But the key thing is that we need to unite, man. And we need to, anytime you see anything happening, find out what's happening, man. We're family. We are family. So we need to act like a family. Don't believe the hype. So it's 8 o'clock now. I'm going to leave it there. Give thanks to my brother Ray's first. My brother Minister, give thanks, Malak. Love to meet you, man. We're going to hook up soon, I'm sure. So I hope the audience enjoyed what they saw today. And don't forget the link is there as well for in the group people for patreon.com, Respect Rebellion. Yeah, FF. Yeah. We need to link with each other. Also remember that website as well. That email 360meninaction@gmail.com. 360meninaction@gmail.com. Contact these people, find out information where you can have workshops and film. If you see how people being harassed and stuff like that, just make sure you film it and send it to these people so we can work together, because we unity in numbers. You know, together we stand, man. Together we'll stand. Yeah. So one love, everybody. Please keep an eye out for the Grand Coalition to Protect African Lives and PACM TV. More events in the future. Yeah. And also remember Afrocentricity International Group as well. There's one group in the UK and London. Please keep an eye out for any events we do as well. Yeah. So everybody, give thanks to my speakers, my presenters tonight. Give thanks to everybody. You stay strong, man. Stay black. One love. Well, my brothers, are you still